As you might have seen, I decided that I'm gonna stretch the front axle position about 2 to 3 inches. That requires a lot of work. New brackets, new steering geometry, how to set up the caster angle, pinion angle and such things. It's a lot of work. I'm gonna show you how I do it step by step. And this is the first episode out of at least 2, it might be 3. How I set up the front stretch of my Dana 30 on my XJ overland build. Hello and welcome to this episode. Today we're gonna make some Swedish meatballs. Nah, just kidding. We're gonna cut this motherfucker into pieces. We're gonna start with removing the old brackets from the Dana 30 axle. And then we're gonna explain a little bit about the caster angle and how it affects, of course, the pinion angle and what to start with and what caster angle to aim for to begin with. We then have the coil buckets that we're gonna fabricate new ones. We're gonna fabricate new trackbar brackets, both for the axle side and also for the unibody side. We're gonna remove the calipers, we're gonna remove the rotors, we're gonna clean the axle with a wire brush, and then we're gonna reinforce the OEM brackets that we still gonna use. So here's the Dana 30 front axle, and right now it's positioned 2 inch towards the front compared to the stock position. It's also centered under the vehicle, and as you can see, that's the upper spring bracket, spring mount, and it's quite in the center of the axle tube. So the 2 inch stretch on the XJ is quite nice, because the coil will be in the center of the axle tube, and I will have more space for my steering. Right now I set the caster to, I don't know if you can see, it's about 6 or 7 degrees, and that's important, because if you have less than 5, it's the chance of the death wobble, for the death wobble, it increases a lot. So as long as you can take care of this measurement, that's the most important one. If you have more caster, it will affect the pinion angle, and the chance of vibrations from the drive shaft increases. But I think this will work. It's only 3.5 inch lift. On my YJ, I cut this weld seam on the C's, and I set the pinion angle to where I wanted it. On my YJ it's pointing exactly towards the transfer case, and then I set the caster angle by adjusting the C's, and then I welded it back. And I'm not gonna do that on this one. This is only a Dana 30 and only Cherokee and a 3.5 inch lift, so I think this will work. And also there will be adjustability on my long arms as well, but right now I want to have the spring brackets to be in parallel with the upper ones. So yeah, let's see how the lower spring brackets will look like on the axle. So my new coil brackets, it's gonna sit like this, And then I'm gonna weld it on the inside here and inside on this edge as well. And then I'm gonna put this one on top. And as you can see, I put a weld nut underneath it for the bump stop spacers. And I place it like this. In the center of the axle, I'm gonna measure it so it's in level. And then I'm gonna weld this one on underneath here. Yeah, that's the coil brackets. Here's the trackbar bracket on the axle side. I weld these two parts together and see if it fits on that. Trackbar bracket on the axle side. Let's see if it fits. Ooh. Like a glove. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna clean the axle tube a little bit more. And then we're gonna And as you can see, this needs to be replaced. I'm gonna replace the calipers, new rotors. So yeah, let's start with removing all this stuff. To remove the caliper, you're gonna remove this bolt and this bolt, 10 millimeter. One. Number two. On the floor. It must have been replaced quite recently. Okay, it looks good. See if it comes off. Yeah. Wow. Brand new, almost. Can't be very old. Yeah. This caliper got the classic not steel piston, and these are very famous to get stuck in the caliper, and you get some problem with overheating brakes. So I'm gonna replace the whole caliper with a new one with steel pistons, but I will keep these as spares, of course. And when that's removed, I think it's just to slide this off like that. It's not a bad shape either, but I'm gonna put new rotors on it anyway. But I'm gonna keep these as spares as well. Yeah, the drive shaft is still intact. The axle shaft, I mean. And this is gonna be removed, and I'm not gonna put new ones on like that. The splash shield is fitted between the wheel bearing and the hub, so I think I'm not gonna replace the wheel bearings right now. So I'm gonna make it easy just to bend it off, and yeah, maybe like that. See, it collects a lot of shit over the years. So I'm not gonna put new ones on. It's gonna be like that. Yeah. Some really sharp edges over here. Gonna trim that down. But this side is done, and you can see it collects just a lot of dirt and mud. And yeah, not that good. I'm gonna remove this side as well. Quite new. Fresh brakes. With the Dana 30 on a bench, I'm gonna start with cutting this one off. And then I'm gonna use a wire brush to clean off diff housing and the hubs to prepare them for paint later on. And then I'm gonna fully weld the brackets. I'm gonna add a stiffener for the lower control arm brackets. Yeah, the shock brackets are gonna sit somewhere around here, but I'm not sure exactly where to position them if they clear the springs and so on. So I think I need to wait with the shock brackets until I have made the new cross member and made the long arms and have the axle position under the car with the springs mounted. By then I can see where I can have the shock brackets so the shock body will clear the spring. We will see later on.
Fy fan. Måste ju lösa det här på något jävla sätt. Titta öppna här med gasknapp. Går upp.
New spring seat, trackbar bracket, and this reinforcement plate on the upper link mount. The other spring seat, and I'm also gonna weld on these as reinforcement for the lower control arms. It will act as a skid plate and a big hole for easy power wash and get all the mud out. Just like that. Yeah, so it sits right now on my logo. We have done a little bit on the front suspension and the front axle, but we have a lot more to do. Some of it is to cut the Rancho short arms in two, sleeve them and transform them to long arms. Then we're gonna ream the knuckles to run the 1-ton steering, and we're gonna ream it from the top. So we're gonna run over the knuckle steering and a one-piece tie rod. We're gonna fit the shock brackets, also the sway bar brackets to the axle. I'm not sure exactly where we gonna fit them as is right now, because I need to make sure the clearance for the tie rod, but somewhere around there. We're gonna fit a new diff cover from Rancho and a diff skid plate, and also the frame stiffeners for the unibody, and the new track bar on the frame side. See you next time. Bye.